See, and you mentioned yourself there about, the importance of the role of the father at birth. I'm not so sure that that's widely understood or known even. I think certainly here in the UK, it feels like a lot of dads feel like a bit of a spare part, like they can't do anything, like, what can I do? I just a punch bag for 5 hours or whatever it may be. But actually being there and being there in that presence, in your energy, that's something, again, luckily I learned from my wife and managed to sort of shed whatever my preconceptions were or my cultural sort of indoctrination was. And I'm so pleased about that. But I'm interested to hear your point of view on that, because I'm not sure that many men do understand this or know this and are empowered by it.
No, it's so important. Yeah, so important. And of course, the system doesn't really support you to understand it either. And it's important that men's awareness is raised and that they can feel the strength to say, I'm going to be in the room, or, this is how things are going to be. Essentially, as women, to really let go and surrender, we really need someone to hold the masculine essence. And so the man needs to be there, of course, first and foremost, because the child will recognize the father's voice, and so feeling that presence there, but also because when a woman is kind of in labor land and isn't fully present and is surrendered to the creative flow, or in absolute agony, you have to be there to be her eyes and ears and support and energetically hold the container. By that I mean to hold the space, so that she can trust enough to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's not, in some cultures, as you say, men birthing is a woman's thing and men are not included. And but I don't think, yes, it's true of some indigenous cultures. So perhaps there is no absolute way, but in the societies that we were brought up in and the way we relate now as couples, I think it's important.
Do you know have you studied at all or looked into the difference between fathers who are consciously present at birth and who are there to share sort of skin to skin and all the oxytocin exchange and all of those things, comparatively to fathers who aren't? And is there any science, is there any research to show how that bond may or may not develop over time?
I don't know if there's any research on it. I would say that the books that I've read that are around natural birthing do talk a lot about that sort of thing. I'm sure there's some research.
It'd be interesting. Yeah, I'd like to look at that. Because again, as I come back to your work, that when you're with your clients, the people you work with, and you're sort of somehow escorting them inside themselves to be present in their energy, to have intent, to be, to feel, that I think is so important in everything we do, in the relationships we conduct, in recognizing how we're affecting people around us. And certainly when I look around in my own history, even, my parents unfortunately were separated when I was sort of 7 years old. And again, as children, we're not necessarily so aware of what is happening in that moment. It's confusing. And, before you know it, you may be going to this house at the weekends, but, you can't really condense it and program anything. It's just happening. But as you go through life, certainly for me, looking back at it, I can start to connect dots and say, oh, wow, that had an effect. And just the sheer presence, just, as I mentioned, when I'm in lockdown, just knowing that I've been here every day, not because we're going off on some crazy adventure or we're going to get a new trampoline or anything, just being there. Daddy's just here when I woke up.